Our next guest has been advising Warner Brothers Discovery in this contentious media deal. Roger Altman is the founder and senior chairman of Evercore, and obviously a friend of the show, too. And Roger, it's good to see you this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So talk us through this. We yesterday heard from Sam DiPiazza at the board of Warner Brothers about what he thought, what the board went through when they were thinking about this. But as somebody who has seen a lot of different offers, what makes you think that the Netflix deal is better than what you're hearing from Paramount's Skydance?
Let me start off by just saying one word about the process that the Warner Brothers board has used. As you know, they've received 6 separate offers from Paramount Sky, in addition, of course, to the process involving Netflix and other companies. And I've done this a long time, and when one of my kids was younger, she once said, Dad, what Dad does is talk on the phone and go to board meetings. So I've seen a lot of them. And the process here was as fiduciary driven and as clean and thorough and independent as anybody could ever want.
Are you saying that because you anticipate that there will be shareholder lawsuits?
No, I'm saying that because P-Sky has criticized the process.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, I'll call them P-Sky. The P-Sky offer is on a risk-adjusted basis is not higher. And here's why. P-Sky has a $15 billion market cap, and it's a weak company. It doesn't have any real free cash flow. And it's trying to do a $108 billion acquisition. So it's effectively an extreme LBO. Now, if you're the target of an extreme LBO, you're the company that the offeror is trying to buy, what's your number one question? Do they have the financing? And can I count on the financing being there? And the answer in this instance is no, which is why I say the risk-adjusted value of the offer is not higher.
What makes you say no?
No, because they need about $40 billion of equity to achieve the total debt and financing package necessary to do the deal. Despite repeated, and I mean repeated, efforts on the part of Warner Brothers Discovery to get clarity and assurance on the so-called Ellison backstop, we have not received that.
And the concern with that is that it's the revocable trust, the Ellison revocable trust, and the board's concern is that at any point Larry Ellison could take the shares of Oracle out of
think
the
of what the word revocable means. The word revocable means that the day after the merger agreement or any day after that, you can take assets out, you can leverage it up, you can completely change it. So there's no assurance that the necessary equity would be there. In addition, we don't know the composition of the trust. We've not been given information about the assets and the liabilities of the trust.
So Roger, and you've asked for this repeatedly.
Yes.
So the question is, if they came back to you and said, now, given that you're out here on television saying this, and others have obviously said this from the companies, if they came back and said, we're going to put the money in an escrow account that's just going to sit over here, or whatever, would that fundamentally change the calculus, or are there other issues and items that you're considering?
It's always a matter of, as you well know, of the fine print.
Right.
Is it really legally binding? Now, look, in Twitter, yes, it was a smaller deal, but it wasn't that small. Elon Musk contractually guaranteed the equity. I will put up the equity. I may syndicate it down later, which you did, some of it, but I contractually commit to it. We've repeatedly asked for something equivalent on that.
And you haven't gotten it. So, but why do you think you haven't? Which is to say, do you believe that really the money isn't there? Do you believe that there's something else going on? What is your analysis of, to the extent that you've said this to them, they know it, and for whatever reason they haven't done it?
By the way, the Warner Brothers releases, including the most recent one in response to these several offers, has been explicit on this deficiency. It's right there on the public record. I don't know the answer to your question. Andrew, I really don't. I have my own guesses, but I'm not going to do that here. But I don't actually know the answer. By the way, in response to your other question, yes, there are other deficiencies here. Let me just mention a couple.
Yeah.
we have to refinance Warner Brothers, a $17 billion bridge loan, which we're planning to do over the next couple of months. If we don't refinance it, we owe the bondholders $1.5 billion. The Peace Guy offer says that's subject to our approval, and they've given us some terms that they want to see us achieve, which, by the way, would be difficult.
In terms
This is
of
long.
performance?
This is a year before they'll own the company.
Right.
In addition, under their offer, we have to cancel the spinoff of Discovery Global, which is likely going to take place in about 6 months.
Right.
And that also is long before they would own the company. Now, the spinoff of Discovery Global is important because it provides a lot of optionality, including M&A and possible consolidation. And everybody can see that that might be logical in terms of platforms like Versant and Discovery Global. We wouldn't be able to do that. And
So it doesn't matter if Peace Guy comes back with an offer of $35, you would still think it would not be sufficient or verifiable.
well, again, you have to see every single term, every single condition. You can't judge that in advance. I can't.
Yeah.
But again, in a situation where a $15 billion company is trying to do a $108 billion deal, the critical question, if you're on the sell side, is, apart from price, of course, is the financing secure?
My guess is that you are out today, just like Sam DiPiazza was out yesterday, to try and persuade shareholders of Warner Brothers Discovery of this, because they're now going to be asked to vote on what they want to do if they want to tender their shares. And I will tell you, I spoke with Mario Gabelli yesterday, who does own, I think, about 5.7 million shares of Warner Brothers. And his thing is, hey, this is still on. There's a lot to play out. He just wants more money.
Right.
What do you tell shareholders like Mario and others?
Well, first of all, by any standard, Becky, it's going to take a long time to close this because anyone who, Netflix, for example, requires global antitrust approval. An optimist would say that's going to take 12 months. I think Peace Guy has said 12 to 18 months. So this can't be closed for quite a while.
So in other words, you don't have your money. You're not getting it anytime soon.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
But contrast what I was just saying on the $15 billion and the 108 and the secure financing to the Netflix agreement. Netflix has a $400 billion market capitalization, has an investment grade rating, and is providing us three components of value: 23, 25 in cash, 450 in Netflix common stock, subject to a 10% symmetrical collar or downside protection, and the so-called stub value, or the value per share of Warner Brothers Discovery of Discovery Global, the spinoff.
Right.
And the street is all over the place on the value of that. Some say it's as low as 1, some say it's as high as 4. But it's a very good offer. And unlike Peace Guy, if for some reason Netflix didn't perform under the merger agreement, they failed to close, we can sue Netflix for specific compliance. Peace Guy says we can't do that in their case.
The question of the stub value has been brought up, too. We had Rich Greenfield on yesterday who said, hey, it may be even more than $3 because you've got a bidder on it already. You mentioned Versant as a potential bidder or someone who would be teamed up and partnered with that. Are they Company C?
I'm sorry?
Is that Company C who's given a bid already on some of those assets?
Well, the materials talk about Company C. And, you'll have to see once the spinoff occurs, because the Warner Brothers Discovery wants to do the spin and intends to do the spin. But it's so logical that there would be consolidation among these cable network platforms that's part of the upside associated with DG Global. And whether it initially trades on the basis of anticipated M&A, I'm not sure. But there's a lot of upside there.
It seems to me that as a negotiator, you would want Paramount to come back with a higher bid, or you'd want a third party to show up at the doorstep. But the things that you're saying make it actually even harder in certain ways, because it sort of suggests that actually there is not another bid out there, and that actually for Peace Guy to come back, they would have to be doing a lot of things.
Well,
and I only ask that because I think right now in the marketplace, if you look at where the stock is trading on an arbitrage basis, there is an expectation that Peace Guy comes back. But it sounds to me like, given the things you're talking about, that's the hurdle is actually even higher than maybe the public understands.
Well, start with the biggest issue, which is that they have to provide legally binding assurance that they have the financing.
Right.
And that's not that hard to do.
Yeah, if you have the backstop, if you have the backstop.
Right,
We
but
all-
it also
Well,
sounds like you're
the backstop.
suggesting that these other items.
The value of Larry Ellison's stake in Oracle is down 50% from the high in 3 months, right? So if you have this long process, does that come into play where you're like, what do we know about where this asset ultimately is going to be backstopped?
Well, look, if you were, if you just step way back and you look at the value of his Oracle shares, even when it went down that much, and the equity required for this deal, you say to yourself, well, just do what Elon did.
Yeah, he could do it.
Just guarantee it.
Yeah.
I don't know why he hasn't been willing to do that. I don't know. But that's an obvious issue here. Now, Andrew, there are other issues, but they can cure those. There's no need for them to tell us that they have to approve our bridge financing. And there's no need for them to say, for example, these series of interim operating covenants where they want to be very micromanaging in terms of how we run our business in the interim. There's no need for that either.
Right.
I mean, they could cure a lot of that, but you know, we have a signed merger agreement with Netflix, and it stipulates, as most of them do, a very precise set of criteria under which someone could judge that there's a superior proposal. It's not a cavalier type of thing.
Right.
A board has to come to the conclusion that another proposal would, I think the legal language is or would likely lead to a superior proposal. But again, stepping way back, these shares, as you know, were trading, I don't know, around $12 6 or 8 months ago. Now, there's a $30 agreement from Netflix, and that's a pretty impressive result.
Right.
So my impression is that the Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders are thrilled so far, and they ought to be.
Yeah. Roger, thank you for coming on. As you mentioned, this is probably going to take a while, so we'd love to have you back, talk more about it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Okay.